Okay, so I'd like to talk a little bit about the setup that I've got going on in Ableton here. I've got a bunch of different audio tracks. Some of them have been configured to take an input signal from any of these devices. So for example here now, I've got the MicroKorg coming in there on channels 1 and 2. When I do record any of these devices, I've obviously got only 2 inputs on the sound card, so I'll be swapping them over as and when. So yeah, so this is a rough template here. I've also got here a samples folder that I've prepared for these tutorials, and you can see that within the samples folder I've got here bass, and so let's open this up and see what we've got going on. So various different samples. These are primarily samples from old records, things I've picked up in charity shops, and they're obviously at times possible copyright issues, so you've got to be a little bit wary about using someone else's samples here. So I'll play them, and you can have a little listen to kind of what I've got. So for example here I've got a Lalo Schifrin bass line. I can't use that because of the copyright issues, but I could liberate one of the bass notes from here, put it onto a keyboard. I've got a bass sound, for example. Over to the drum loops here. Got a nice little hi-hat loop. Pretty sure I could use that, cut that up. That would work rhythmically with maybe another beat that maybe doesn't have a hi-hat. It's more focused on a kick and the snare, for example. Got some field recordings here as well. Got some wind chimes. We've got a really nice little thing that I'd like to use in this tutorial here. And if I come down over here to this field recording of an instrument, it's called hang, which is a hang drum. This is a field recording of someone playing one in the park, which is like an inverted steel drum. So that might work really nicely. So got some field recordings. We've also got here kind of carnival crowds, some military drums, crowds, fireworks that, you know, might make some quite nice percussive sounds and things like that. And let's have a look, see what else we've got here. So percussion. So under percussion here, you can hear a bunch of different percussive sounds. We've got congas, bongos. What I tried to do is grab sounds that have a lot of space and that are on their own, so they're in effect in solo. So for example, you could layer this up with a snare, for instance, when creating a beat here. Strings. So lots of little bits and pieces to layer down. And again, just thinking about stripping it out into the individual components. So things under strings are kind of ensemble instruments. We've got a few little kind of vocal bits and pieces, little phrases, stuff that I found. But obviously with the copyright issues with regards to the record samples rather than the field recordings, I've got to be able to mask these quite well. So another thing to mention as well is I have just a grand piano here from Ableton's factory instruments, and this is really going to allow me to make sure that my samples are in tune. So I know that this instrument has been designed obviously to be in tune. It's to replicate a grand piano, so my C is going to be a C. So when tuning up any of my samples from field recordings or even records, you're not guaranteed to be in tune. So chromatically I need to know where I'm at. So that's really the setup.